Hello and welcome everybody, we're back again for another day of ESL 1 Genting Southeast Asian qualifiers. I'm Gareth and we're straight into the draft. We've got ourselves MVP Phoenix going up against Team EVOS in this first best of 3 of the day, and I'm joined by none other than Luminous Inverse. How you doing, Lumi?
I'm doing great, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, should be good. Now, MVP Phoenix, we've not seen them sort of back in the fray with Forever returning, so this is going to be kind of, you know, their debut with their new old roster kind of thing, while EVOS are like a brand new team. They were formed this year in August, I believe. So, new roster, they've performed decently, sort of in Tier 2 Southeast Asian games. This is going to be their really first big test and, you know, see if they can step up to date. Don't know what to expect from them in the grand scheme of things, and they've got sort of lots of lunar drafts, and they like to play Invoker a bit here and there. But I think for them, we just sort of wait and see how they've prepared against MVP, while the guys from Phoenix, they've always been a fun team to watch, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they're more fun on LAN. I think that's where they really show their strategy and their strength. I think MVP Phoenix, in the past, they've said that they don't take online matches as seriously because they have to compete in these C events, and they're playing from essentially China.
Yeah.
And the pings there is not as great. And when they run that kind of dive your towers, kind of aggressive playing strategy, ping does actually matter quite a bit. But still expect MVP to bring their A game. And if you ask anybody, I think MVP is definitely the favorite here in this best of 3.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's why I'm kind of, you know, looking forward to see what EVOS can bring and whether they can match that aggression. But Phoenix, they start off with a Timber Saw. We saw Forever play that a hell of a lot while he had his little stint on Secret. He performed, honestly, very, very well over there, and now maybe brings back some of that puppy flavor to MVP. Juggernaut and Warlock, no big surprise from EVOS. You know, the Jug mid or safe lane, very open pick, while Warlock has been really the big screaming pick of the past month and a half or so, hasn't it?
Yeah, I see teams doing very well with it, and I see teams kind of just picking it because everyone else is. Mm-hmm. I think this is because it's such a long cooldown hero, and the hero is not so good in any plan B. For example, if your mid lane's losing, you can't just help him gank, because is not one of the best gankers. So I hope Evo here recognize the strength and weaknesses. And one of the big weaknesses is MVP likes to fight very frequently. They generally pick very low cooldown ults. And Warlock might not be the best hero for that kind of game.
Yeah, it's kind of a sit back and wait for the mid game support. Like you said, it can't really rotate into any lanes to help out. It's not the greatest sort of reaction hero. Well, MVP, not only do they like to play aggressively on their lanes, but they sort of like to modify their lanes and have these dynamic shift ups. You know, they just randomly TP to a lane, smoke up behind tier 1s, go and run somewhere. And they were kind of the pioneers. Was it around Dota Pit, around I guess just before Epicenter started earlier on this year, of the smoke behind tier 1 mid, and then they run into the enemy jungle and just go and find kills and find pickoffs. You never know where they're going to hit from, but this is a roster which is still trying to find its sort of foothold in the Southeast Asian scene. But bans Naga, Ogre removed from the game. Now, we saw a lot of Ogre over at the ROG Masters. First pick, first ban material constantly. Kind of been let through here, and is there any reason why you sort of don't want to pick Ogre in the first phase?
I don't see any reasons. I'm surprised that it hasn't been picked. I think it's that best hero in this patch. Even in terms of the mid and late game, where a lot of people say that's where the hero's weak at. Bloodlust is such an amazing spell, so I'm surprised that it's on the second phase. You cast some of the C games yesterday, right? Was it let through on the second phase, or?
It was kind
of. Was it a first phase pick?
It was kind of 50-50. It was first phase banned, I believe, in the Mineski games, but there was a series before that where it was left until the second phase. So it was still prioritized, just not as heavily. It wasn't let through though. It didn't go past the second pick phase for sure.
Sure.
Well, EVOS, kind of difficult to decide what you want to ban against MVP Phoenix now. You know, you've got Forev's hero and the Timber Saw, keep a light for Dubu, more likely than not. But against QO, whose hero pool is, you know, so wide, actually banning out specific guys is difficult. I guess you could look at maybe the Sven, or it's the Axe actually removed out. I was thinking about sort of Juggernaut counters. Sven was the first one that kind of came to mind. Axe is a pretty good one. Be worried about Timber Saw shifting towards the middle of the safe lane.
Yeah, I think your mindset of bans actually makes more sense. When you're perhaps up against a team that's maybe better than you, it's maybe better to just ban heroes that are good against your lineup. I think teams that have the best success when up against a better team is pick a lineup that plays their own strength instead of trying to counteract the enemy team. Because the enemy team have definitely seen counters to their own strat before, and they probably have likely beaten it multiple times. So I think Team Evo should focus on their own strat, which this game looks like it's going to be a lot more group up and fight and pushing afterwards. A little bit more objective on the Roshan with the Slaughter. But so it's like a very kind of tempo-oriented lineup that we've seen quite frequently in this patch.
Yeah, let's get the blink on Slaughter and make the most of it. I mean, teams like NP, they run drafts like this so well because they give MSS a lot of room. They send supports there to help him. They safeguard jungle when he needs to go back in Iron Talon, and MSS gets a lot of breathing room. But we've seen Slardars in the past kind of go 15-20 minutes and have tranquil boots and a magic wand and not really get anywhere close with that blink dagger. But of course, one little fight could swing things around with a Warlock Golem and get you the money that you need. MVP. The Kotl Timbersaw, still relatively open. Kotl pretty good in dual off lanes if you want to run it that way. He's a very good safe lane zoning support as well, able to stack jungle for himself if required. So, like we said, that kind of open pick where you're never sure, you're never quite sure where he's going to go. And Rubik still not showing their hand here, kind of waiting to feel out Team EVOS a little bit and gauge where they're going with this draft.
Yeah, Rubik is actually a pretty decent setup for a kill against Slaughter once you lift him back in, especially when you have a hero that has a secondary stun to follow up. You can actually get Slaughter, especially if he's sprinted. You talked about Keeper of Light being a good kind of safe lane zoning support. That's only if there's not a big tanky support to back up Slaughter. This is kind of what we've seen in this patch where you have like the Ogre Slaughter dual off lane, or let's say Elder Titan Slaughter dual off lane. In this game, I'm expecting something like a Jakiro. It adds a lot more push to their lineup.
Ooh.
Instead, they're going to go with a jungler, which, I think both of us saw that game in oh my god, what's that Malaysian tournament that we just casted? ROG Masters, where Puppy essentially won all 3 lanes with the Namens. I don't know who will be playing the Enchantress here, but it definitely has a huge impact when you gank the right lanes and poke at the right places.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were looking for, kind of reading between the lines, you're looking for a tanky hero to pressure the supports on the safe lane. Enchantress, not necessarily on her own does it, but with tanky creeps up in the front lines like Centaurs and Satyrs and stuff, the squishy Rubik and Kotl can definitely feel the pressure there. And we've seen Slaughter in the 4 role before, but I guess with the Enchantress coming out, it means that it will be that offlane Slaughter. I was just wondering because it's I don't want to say common, but it's used a fair amount in Southeast Asia. The kind of Darkseer Slaughter, the Ogre Slaughter, dual offlane, try and get up in their faces. But MVP with the Ursa, I mean, it's just like standard MVP, right? Early aggression, you get the Mask of Madness or the Morbid Mask into Blink Dagger with the Phase Boots, and you just jump on people. You just continually jump at them, and then the PA as well. QO gets his favorite hero. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, this is where you look at Enchantress pick and say, okay, she might actually help you win the lane stage, but once the mid game comes, she offers very little in terms of like when a PA blinks on your team, what exactly can Enchantress do? Like, she doesn't do enough damage at that point in the game to actually make them worry about you. In fact, you are kind of just food to the Ursa at least. Puck is going to be picked up here as a hero to control Ursa and Phantom Assassin. In order for Team EVOS to have a very good game, this Puck needs to get a quick Veil, because without it, I don't see Team EVOS having enough damage to kill Timbersaw, to kill Ursa and PA, unless that Veil comes online relatively early.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those lineups where if EVOS don't get off to a decent or good start, then things can crumble very quickly, right? They're not a great team at coming back. Their high ground defense it's meager. They've got Warlock ulti and Puck to clear waves and stuff like that, but they need Blink on Slaughter, Veil Blink on Puck. Juggernaut needs I don't even know if he's got time to go for the Battle Fury to keep up in farm. He needs to go for sort of early battle items like the Yasha Diffusal. It's going to be rough for them to actually get themselves out of laning phase and into the mid game if MVP get any kind of foothold in the first 10 minutes or so. But
right. And you know, earlier you were talking about Warlock being such a common pick and see. Look at what Warlock's going to be able to do this game, or rather what he's unable to do this game. PA is going to come at you whenever she feels like it. Same thing with Ursa, same thing with Timber. These heroes could essentially fight. They have the HP or mana to do so. They will fight whenever they want. Warlock, you're playing around a huge 200-second cooldown ultimate. Or not 200 second, 165, excuse me. That not a very common skill build.
Try and kite the Ursa and stuff like that in these big team fights. Yeah, it could work decently. Right, we're back into game. Just had to fix something very quickly there, and it looks like we're all good. But yeah, 2 players of MVP get themselves back into this one. So how do you think these lanes are actually going to pan out for them? Will MVP just run the dual lanes like Kotl plus Timber off lane? And then you have the Ursa Rubik top?
Yeah, that seems like it. Kato is a very good harassing at dual off lane, but maybe not exactly with Timber. I'm actually expecting Timber to go safe lane, and then you run the PA plus Kato in the off lane. What that is really good for is you Stifling Dagger, you give them the slow, and Dubu most likely will be channeling Illuminate to on point, and then you just get quite a bit of harass. I'm expecting some sort of 2-1-2 with Kyo and Dubu in the off lane, but obviously all these heroes are so versatile that they could essentially swap it up however they see fit.
It's a good point. I didn't even, like, when I see QOPA, my brain just immediately goes, he is mid. I didn't even consider the potential for him to go into a dual off-lane position, just spamming out daggers onto people.
Looks like he's going for the mid lane build, though, so...
Okay. Well, we'll see where they're head. I do like maybe the Ursa plus Rubik duel off-lane, then you've got, Kotl plus Timber up at top. Like you said, they've got so many ways to run this that until they actually go and plant themselves down in the lane, it's going to be very difficult to call where they go. Juggernaut with the Warlock, they're already smoked up moving forward, but Warlock might have just stepped a little bit too far, and I think you're right, Lumi. The dagger starts things off, and he just dragged back into his own death. Eden will be the first to fall in this best of 3 as QO gets the first blood, and that's a great start for the PA. First blood plus likely the bounty rune, as Logic got his Blade Fury, unlikely to be caught here. Already very early aggressive wards coming down. Sentry will block up the pull cap. Observer ward will give vision as well, just in case the Enchantress wants to roam around. And where has Enchantress actually moved herself to? He's up near the top rune spot with a smoke and a sentry. So I think she will start towards the offlane camp, grab a creep and help out the Slardar for the first couple of minutes.
Yeah. PA getting the first blood there is actually a big deal because one of the lanes that the Enchantress would like to gank is mid, and QO having early access into boots is a pretty big deal. I'm also surprised that there is no mid lane ward for the Puck. A big part of this matchup on the mid lane is Puck needs to see the daggers coming in, and he needs to be able to face it. The fact that he doesn't have a high ground ward would make that job much more difficult, especially when PA, especially during nighttime, like 4 minutes in, she gets like level 3 daggers. It's going to hurt quite a bit, and fogged. You can't see uphill.
Oh man, the Warlock's placed a sentry, but it's barely out of range of that Observer ward. Doesn't catch the sentry either. The Dire team. Oh, that's unfortunate for them. So it'll be the Kotl plus Ursa down the bottom lane actually. While Rubik is looking for a career snipe, Febby. He's just going to move himself across in between the tier 1, tier 2 when Puck... I'm not going to bring a salve out, might bring the magic stick, finish off the magic wand up against his PA, very useful against this dagger spam, but QO's already applying this pressure in. He's closer to level 2 than, he's actually just hit level 2 now, and the Puck still short of that. See what QO actually has planned there as Febby gives up. Thinking about the courier snipe, he was expecting a salve to be brought out for the Puck, I think, but it's a little bit delayed, or more delayed than usual anyway.
Yeah. Interestingly, QOS actually opted for the Blightstone, which obviously would make your dagger hurt much more. And it seems like Fabulous X, who is having a little bit of trouble phasing these daggers, taking quite a bit of harass. What a name.
What a name indeed. Actually, I think that's his modifier. I think his name is François.
Okay. That's also what a name.
You can just call him Fabulous X. I like that one a lot more, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Alright, looks like they're good to go. You talked about the sentry not getting the observer. I think he's mostly meaning to block the pull count, but yeah, if it would net him 100 extra gold, that would have been pretty nice.
Oh, to stop the Kotl from like stacking and pulling across, dragging these waves away. Juggernaut.
Well, also more so to stop Enchantress from having a big, easy place to grab a creep. If the fighting gets rough.
It's a Radiant Sentry though. That's what.
Oh no, you're right. I got the two teams confused for a second. No, you're right.
Yeah, I think I was just looking for the obs. He just got unlucky.
Yep. Alright, we are gonna have the Enchantress swooping in. I'm not exactly sure whether they can kill the Kotl, who is one of the kind of higher movement speed heroes.
Who are they gonna look for though? Well, Forev as well as Dubu already made their retreat away, and Enchantress, the first smoke pops. Get anything out of it. You're still stuck at level 1 as well. 2 minutes in, you kind of either want to get your Enchantress levels or you want to be applying pressure on these lanes. Mid, QO's gone in on the puck, who just jaunts away. Orb does offer you that nice little bit of mobility to get out of range of the PA when she does jump onto you, but no Phantom Strike actually yet from QO. 2 in the dagger for that extra damage, 1 in the blur. Just make sure you're not taking too much harass. You add in with the poor man's shield and you've got kind of sustain there through evasion and block. Puck does struggle because one of the greatest things about Puck is, not just the magic nuke damage and the mobility you get, but in the laning phase you trade hits so efficiently with phase shift. You right click them once, twice, you bait them in to try and hit you, you phase shift, and you get 3 hits for maybe the price of 1. But with poor man's shield as well as blur, all of that efficiency just goes straight out the window.
Yeah, I think if the Puck wants to win the lane, he really needs to win it through his orbs. Take a couple of last hits while orbing and harass the PA. If he's not doing that, like you said, the Pro Man Shield, the high natural armor, the blur is just no joke. And Fabulous X is not very fabulous on the phase shifts. I've been watching him multiple times. He's constantly getting hit by the daggers.
Oh dear. Oh, now they move down to bottom lane MVP and drag in the Warlock, but Forev didn't have a point in the Earthshock, so there was no slow there to actually catch onto the Warlock and maybe chase him down on the tier 1. So far, MVP just kind of farming freely, and this is the way that EVOS maybe finds himself at a massive deficit once it comes to mid-game, because they need to really apply pressure during the laning phase. They need to get their items up and running very quickly. And it's so difficult to run into. Nurse the Warrior now with a lift on Juggernaut. The damage comes through from Forev, but the logic, the heal and the spin available, so unlucky to get taken down there. One lane that we haven't really looked at too much though is the top lane, right? Timbersaw against the Slardar, and Timber, as expected, he's leading in last hits. Velo completely shoving the Slardar out of lane almost, burning through his regen, spamming out the Whirling Death. That Mango available once he hits level 6, he might even look for a kill.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance you're like, okay, Slardar's getting completely wrecked here, but I think he's still getting more out of here than the jungle, especially when it comes to experience. So even though it looks bad for the Slardar, it's definitely better than the alternative. And he is going to be able to find the blink much quicker than we would normally expect. Febby on the bottom lane is going to TP out. Puck a little bit slow to join the party. Yes, you talked about MVP farming well, but I think one of the weaknesses of their lineup is that they need to get kills to be able to push, right? This is a very bad objective team. Yeah. Especially on sieging towers, whereas I think Evo is much better. Like, they can split push with the Puck, they can split push with the Enchantress, same thing with the Juggernaut. So, bottom lane, lift into defensive spin here from Juggernaut, but that damage.
Man, Forev just keeps chasing this one down. Won't find the kill. But yeah, you're right. They without levels and without maybe a couple of pickoffs, they don't have a great hero to chip away or even take down towers. It's all about 5-man once MVP get up and running, right? Look for kills, look for the big team fights. Actually finish them off. EVOS, they do have some answers for this. Puck did make that first rotation down to bottom lane, but without level 6 wasn't able to find any real catch. And now low on HP up against QO's Phantom Assassin. Does have to be wary about this. PA level 6, one dagger crit and 1 jump in while Orb's on cooldown. Like right now, QO could consider diving the tower feasibly. But you'll want maybe you're someone to make the rotation across just to secure that safety in case TP's come in. And yeah, I'm watching the Puck as well. That's another phase shift missing. Dodge on the dagger.
Anytime that QO could force that defensive jaunt, instead of flying the jaunt at QO's face, QO's winning the lane slightly a bit more.
Boots Forev finds the Warlock with the fate. Oh, Oh, telekinesis back onto Slark. He saves him with a crush. I thought maybe with a Fade Bolt they'll have enough, but Warlock escapes like 20 HP. Now they come back in with a spin from Juggernaut. Warrior's gonna drop here. Oh, so Warrior, a little bit too big for his boots. Febby with the amp damage onto him. Central will not find a stomp, and in comes Duo, crush down onto him with the Fade Bolt there. Good amount of damage, and another dagger should secure this if they can keep the vision. He hides in the trees. There's nothing to catch him, and now the Koffel with the PA got to retreat and run away from this. Juggernaut, not level 6 yet, so no Omni Slash, will turn back to look for an easier target. EVOS, they lose their puck down towards the bottom rune spot at the same time as the dive comes in from MVP. So all in all, it's still a decent trade for the Koreans.
Yeah, I mean, they lost Ursa, which is definitely a hero that needs to snowball, but the fact that they have so many heroes that can snowball, I think trading your Ursa for a puck is a fine trade at the end of the day. One thing I am very concerned about is this Enchantress pick, right? We have almost 7 minutes of gameplay. I don't think she actually contributed too much of anything. She tried to gank bot once, failed. Her farm is not exactly spectacular. I don't think she's pressured the top lane enough where Slaughter gets farm in that lane. In fact, Slaughter has lost the tier 1 tower, hasn't had too much farm to show for it. So, you know, if you ask me at the end of the day, was this Enchantress pick a good pick? I don't think so.
0, 0, and 0 with 21 last hits. Hasn't been the best, you know. You can... I don't know if that's the right question to ask. Like, was it the right pick? And maybe you ask, has the Enchantress actually, you know, played efficiently or optimally? Because the Enchantress has spent a lot of time in this Radiant jungle, which I kind of get, right? This is aggressive dual lane that formed into an aggressive tri-lane for MVP, and you feel that you need to save it. But so often, find yourself in, you know, a stalemate lane, right? Whereas, instead of breaking even on this bottom lane, you could have just said, right, we'll leave the Juggernaut to maybe leech experience, get a few last hits, Warlock's there to keep him alive, tier 1 tower's still up, Enchantress go and win, like actually hard win another lane, go towards mid, go towards the top lane, and get an advantage, because right here, the amount that they're losing out on is pretty immense. MVP sends 3 heroes to bottom.
And the other thing with Enchantress is that you have to hard win the lane, because when you don't, again, come mid-game, 15-20 minutes in, when Enchantress ideally has maybe Dragonlance, like, PA doesn't care about that, Ursa doesn't care about that. Look at Ursa, he's going right into the Enchantress. He gets stunned up right now, but he's not stopped chasing. In fact, forever is going right in. Geo blink strikes his ally for a dagger, but, you know, heal is turned on and he's fine.
They were looking for the telekinesis of Febby, but he got blocked a little bit by the Centaur, even with the brown boots up on the Rubik. Quick enough to get himself up into the action. Maybe he goes and buys a Windlace or something. Forever with Phase and Windlace. The movement speed on the Earth is pretty ridiculous right now. And Puck, how are we looking? So, double null, but the orb was expended aggressively. Does get a nice phase shift there to dodge the dagger though. Kuro's got this high ground ward. You know, you were talking about a ward for the Puck, but MVP you have the aggressive warding vision here, not only in the Radiant jungle, but also towards the mid lane. As Velo been left alone. Up on top, he gets the tier 1. He's got pretty much perfect free farm. He's a little bit behind the PA, but you know, QO's got a couple of kills and a bunch of bounty runes under the belt. I guess that's something to look at as well, right? Is that QO hasn't ever been pressured at rune spots. One of the greatest strengths of a roaming support, like an Enchantress, is that you sandwich in onto the mid laner with, you know, Enchantress plus your mid plus 1 support, and you get that 3v1. You sandwich in, you crush them around the rune while baiting them to try and get that bottle refill. But QO's never been in that position. He's just been like, oh, there's a rune, I'm gonna take it. No one's gonna stop me. And now he's like, okay, no one's gonna stop me killing off this Puck. But the jaunt away and the DD rune comes out of Francoeur, and it looks like, for now at least, phase shift, dodging the dagger, he will be fine.
Yeah, the other really bad sign about this game for EVOS is, when do you ever see a safe lane Timbersaw take a tower? Like, Timber does not push tower that well, and he's managed to do so. Obviously, Slaughter had to port bottom to join by fight, but still, it's just another sign of that the lane is losing really badly. Now we do see a big, small wrap around here.
Oh, Juggernaut's already used his spin as well, and he's got no TP. He'll bring in some more to try and find the Juggernaut. Warlock's already dead in the back end, and, well, they're just surrounding him. The net closes in. QO goes for the dagger down, and Enchantress, oh yeah, obliterated under that Timbersaw damage, and EVOS lose so much from that aggressive push behind the tier 1. Juggernaut's somehow still alive here, but really, there's no chance of escape.
And that's the tier will also go down as well. I mean, Puck's getting far meanwhile. He's working towards that Veiled Discord. We'll probably have it for the next fight, but ideally that's a fight where Puck joins, right? And probably dominate if he has enough HP and maybe that double damage that he expended earlier, but he's just having his own trouble, man.
Everyone's having troubles. MVP, they don't convert into tier 1 bottom, instead they go back into the Roche pit. Or Morbid Mask, you know, you've got the lifesteal, but a little sort of shimmy in there from Slardar will contest and, at very least, force MVP away from the Roshan, while Velo, he wants to fight 1v2. Jack comes down, but the Bass comes through with Fatal Bonds on him. I don't think they've got enough damage to kill him off, though. This Enchantress is yet to get level 6. 11 minutes in and no impetus means that EVOS just don't have the DPS to throw into Timbersaw right now. He goes back in. He's like 1v3 in this Radiant Jungle, and he literally does not care. They're bringing some more. Now it's 1v5, and Velo might have to worry about his safety at this point. With the Omni Slash onto him, he's still alive with another Timber Chain across. The Dream Cold comes down, and Velo will finally fall. But he's drawn so much attention to him. They're all Golem, yeah, down onto the 2 supports, but Dubu and Febby, they're too quick. They're actually between back far enough that the orb, even though it moves forward, won't be able to catch them.
Rubik got Spell Seal. He actually gets the Golem.
Has Warlock not cast anything else since?
I don't think he has. He has mana issues. He needs to help people to the ground right now.
Right now. Come on, Febby. Where is it? He's got Blade Fury, and it looks like he's holding on to this. He wants to keep the spin. Maybe to telekinesis spin back into the Juggernaut, but finally EVOS get a tier 1 tower for their troubles. And it's a 5-man rotation to get it though, and in the meantime, top and mid lane are both being pushed in here by MVP, and the TP's coming through. They want to try and fight this around the tower. Velo gains into the back line, but Enchantress has gone a little bit too deep. They'll find the kill onto Febby at the very least. Oh god, no. No. That's not Dota 2.
Enchantress has a right click for the kill, but I don't know if he was lagging or some ping issues, but he didn't actually let that spear fly out.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big dive. They even committed the Warlock ult for that. So, I mean, you're right, they did get a tier 1 tower, but they committed a Warlock ult for that. And I'm not even sure whether that was work, because the Warlock ult hasn't gotten them any other kills, right? The Velo kill was already theirs, regardless of the Warlock ult. But now without the Warlock ult, Pudge just goes into the Roche. And there's no way for EVOS to challenge him.
Is QO actually rushing Deso here? He's got his Mythical Hammer. Sick, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's an aggressive build. Dubu's just getting chipped away by the Pudge. The Veil, nukes.
Okay.
Good little pick off there around the pit, but still unable to stop the Roshan falling.
Yep. But you do see what EVO's doing right now. They're recognizing that they can't really take heads to fight, so they're starting to open up the map and getting more objective. And I think they're making the best out of the situation, of the current bad situation that's handed to them. They're still, you know, getting these tier 1s. In fact, they have way more tier 1s than MVP do. Wait, no, it's even. But they're about to ship down an early tier 1 top, so.
They've got way more. Wait!
Way
no.
more. No, I mean, that top tower isn't happening.
Yeah, okay. If we're talking about like percentage HP of tier 1 towers, then EVOS does.
More so, the point I'm trying to make is they're able to do this much even though the game is so bad for them.
Yeah.
Like,
they're able to actually get the job done. But QO, you know, usually we see Vanguard into Deso or Vlad's Deso, some kind of preliminary item before that DPS comes through. And that's a nice little move there onto Juggernaut, who nearly just falls flat on his face from Febby and QO throwing a couple of spells at him. You know, just a gust of wind and Juggernaut's nearly dead. He's got his Yasha phase, but really not that many stats, not much strength. Call his own. This is a smoke from Forev straight down his top lane. I'll look for the Slardar, and it looks like they'll just miss out on him. Fell the smoke, and now they want to go down towards that mid tier 1.
Well, Warlock's ult is back up, so it's time to fight. This is their go time. They do have the Veil as well. Unfortunately, Dreamcoil is on cooldown for about 30 more seconds.
That's a good sentry. Nice intelligent placement there by EVOS. Gets rid of the Observer Ward. I guess it was kind of an obvious move from MVP. When they smoke top, they get popped. And they want to go towards mid. Have they found someone? QO, he's hunting deep in here behind the trees. He's a little bit alone though. Goes for dagger onto Warlock, nearly takes him out. The crush is there from Febby as well. But one more hit is all they need to get him. No golem. And now the stun from Juggernaut comes through. But he is left high and dry. He tries to get in onto Febby, but he's a spin of his own. One more hit from the Empress will clear him up. Now the Juggernaut turns to run. Healing Water's down, and MVP, they've lost the Aegis. Wonder if they can turn and fight this one. So one for one so far, Dreamcoil is here, and Puck wants to fight QO again with no defensive items. The curse will come down, the stick charges are there. But MVP, they're losing this fight relatively quickly as Juggernaut returns into battle, but the Timber Chain will get Velo away a little bit further. Blink and Veil on Puck won't be enough to find another catch.
Is this MVP being MVP? Like, do they need to make that kind of dive, or do you think they could head up push?
I think they kind of needed, like, the plan was like kill Warlock, make sure there's no golem, and then win the fight, right?
Right.
Stage one of the plan worked perfectly fine. They killed Warlock, there was no golem, and then they split really far. Like they spread to the wind like leaves just floating around. You know, was it Kotl went north up towards Radiant Ancient, so there's no Kotl in the fight. Then two of them went east with the PA and the Rubik, and then Timbersaw was just like, oh god, I'm out of here, gotta run. Well, Forev realized without Aegis, without Aegis and Blink or BKB or anything, didn't really have the ability to stand and fight. So maybe it was one of those situations where they could have waited another, minute and a half. Like the Aegis would have lasted another minute and a half from now. So if they'd waited another minute and a half, got an item on her, so got maybe something else to actually play aggressively into, that fight would have gone a lot better for them.
I think it's also the positioning that they had to take the fight, right? Like, the Warlock was in the middle of a patch of trees, and hold that thought here, Dubu's gonna get caught out by 3-4. That's Blink on Slaughter. So, I think the mindset for MVP was correct, kill Warlock and go, like you said, but they just had to give up so much to get that Warlock kill that after the Warlock kill, they didn't have much left, and they got punished very heavily, fighting in a, between tier 1 and tier 2 towers.
I think you could feel the hesitation, right? You saw the dagger from QO onto the Warlock, then he backed away, Febby went in and got the Fade Bolt and spin, then he ran away and it was like, well, Warlock needs one more hit. We may as well commit for this, even if they realise that it's going to be a bit of a messy one. Top tier 2 is going to be what EVOS claims here. So a nice bit of gold in their pockets, while bottom tower, QO's looking for it, but the TPs are coming in mid where they found the Timbersaw with a crush. After the blink from Slaughter. Oh, Dreamcoil. Cancel TP and Velo. Will be giving away his life, it looks like, as well. That's a suicide. Removing those Bloodstone charges.
Top lane, though. 4F still going for the chase. Enchantress hard to kill, but not for overpower, as Touchable is now touched. Still, though, they lost the tier 2 top. I think they've got quite a bit out of it. Because MVP, if you look at the mid tier 2 for the Radiant, the bottom tier 2 for Radiant, it's a lot of damage done. And I think for a team that's not necessarily great at pushing, making that kind of trade is still very beneficial for the team.
The thing is, their lead is kind of tenuous at this point. We're talking about EVOS and how their lineup functions, and the majority of it was about having key items on their heroes. Has the Veil Blink, Slaughter, like you mentioned, has picked up that Blink Dagger, found the kill on the Timbersaw. Enchantress has found Face Boots and Dragonlance, like, has manipulated thin air to suddenly find these items out of nowhere, so I've done a great job kind of catching up and farming into some decent itemization there. And it's not all doom and gloom for them. They've actually got themselves a decent chance. Juggernaut might be the only one that you kind of look at and think, well, he maybe should be or needs to be a little bit further ahead from where he is right now. And he's going into that Manta style, likely into the Diffusal Blade and Blink Dagger build. But that's the battle build. As long as you can group up as 5 with EVOS, go and get these 2 remaining tier 2 towers, contest Roshan, maybe get some movement into the Dire jungle. Like, we've just seen one ward expire over towards the Dire side of the map, and they've got one even deeper up on top of that little hilltop. They can stop MVP from farming, while having items and keeping farm of their own. It's a great way to shut them down.
Velo, I don't want to say he's exactly caught, but he will be caught in a couple seconds if he doesn't get the hell out of there. His Slaughter is coming in with 3 or 4 other heroes. The other thing that I'm quite impressed about EVOS is they're able to keep track of Velo, his Bloodstone charges. Like, normally when MVP is having a stomping game, which they had at least for the first 10-15 minutes, that Bloodstone charge is hitting like 14, 15, 16. But in fact, they forced multiple kills on Velo and really have slowed him down.
Oh, definitely, and again, they just group up as 5, go for a tier 2 tower. There is one hero, the Puck. You mentioned the kind of split push capability of this little fairy dragon. That's exactly what they're going to do. Just make sure that, like previously when they've been taking an objective, MVP have done a great job at pushing dual lanes. The 5-man push here is kind of what you go for as EVOS. You group up as a big core group, And MVP have been exploiting that a little bit, so it's nice to see the Puck address that and actually go and move across. And now even TP up towards the top lane. Got the cliff on the tower. And Puck wants to try and get the deny in here, but the damage is pretty immense. And now she's gone a little bit further back with a blink dagger into the trees. Does find some safety, but wants to fight some more. The face shift is there, QO. Being coiled. Now the DPS, QO, he might look for the puck, the face shift again, keeps him alive. Francois is juking him around and found a kill on the Phantom Assassin. Now he can fight back into the Timber Saw, jump forward with the TP's there, with the crush, they've got a goal. Yeah, drop the ulti. Take those Bloodstone charges away, down to 5 for Velo and EVOS. That Puck just like single-handedly outplayed QO and the Timber Saw.
Oh my god. That was one of the best baits I've ever witnessed, like in Dota 2. So the fact that he came in with very little HP and orbed into the enemy team, and your PA YouTuber saw, I was like, oh, that Pug's an idiot. Let's go for a free kill, but baited. Femi blinks forward, but he's got orbs.
Honestly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what the hell is Pudge doing? You're alone. You're not able to do anything. You just don't have damage. You can't kill people. It's like flapping around, doing whatever the hell it wants. Well, Roshan will be up in about 1 minute and 20 seconds, and this is where you see EVOS, really start to lay this on thick. They've got heroes moving in towards mid, forcing out waves. At least the Juggernaut will be able to shove down bottom, as long as they keep the sort of bottom, third of the map over the river, stopping MVP from just walking into the Rosh pit and taking it freely. Forcing them maybe to move up towards top. They've even, they've even got a Satyr top, being micro to push waves. They've got like triple range creep with a Satyr, just like, okay, I'm a split pusher. Not just the Puck doing the job.
Oh god. Rev right into the jungle and gets the Enchantress kill. Now the split push normally quite good against the cores like TA and Ursa, but you still have Kardel, so you have a lot more global movement, and you still have a Timber. So even though the wave is shoved in right now and Fabulous X is pressuring the tier 3, they have methods and ways to deal with it. Which so far they have not elected to do so, but they have the tools.
Glada. He blinks away there, realizing he's in danger. He wanted to go back in, it looked like, for a second, but he's got Force and Blink. Well, the TP scroll to get out of this little spot he's put himself in. MVP all of a sudden on the back foot, being forced to defend their tier 3s. Juggernaut now has a blink dagger on top of his Manta style. They're at least getting a bit of traction on the map as Puck goes in for an illusion. Unfortunately, that's not going to be a kill you can take. And Zubu nukes down with it all across. They'll look for the Dream Call onto the 2 as well, but Rubik jumps away. I'll find Hospital at the very least. The blink crush not going to land onto anyone. Baby wants to battle, crushes back again, but still going to lose your life for that. In the meantime, Velo chains back to safety. But this is the thing, MVP, it seemed a little bit disjointed,
Yeah, Kardel had recall that fight. I wonder why he didn't recall in for Red. I guess it wasn't a fight that they want to commit for, but now suddenly, they talk about how keeping MVP away from Rosh, in fact it's going to be EVOS taking Rosh. I think this MVP lineup depends on the Aegis so much. Like, they're already not good at taking objectives. They need the Aegis to win the fight and then to take the objective. Now one of their biggest advantages stripped away from them. I don't know, man.
Not such a one-sided whitewash that maybe we expected coming into this series. EVOS, they've stepped up and come into play, MVP, a few sloppy errors here and there, but QO with the classic 3-2-2 scoreline. Hopefully he can drag himself up from the pits as Abyssal Blade's nearly done for the Ursa Warrior now. So that's going to be a great bit of lockdown to catch out not only the Puck, but also Juggernaut and Warlock before they can get their ultis into these team fights. And Blink on Febby. Looking pretty good. Still will not be able to output the same amount of damage as this Enchantress will. We talked about the mid-game Enchantress, and if she doesn't get items, doesn't have great ways of dealing with the cores of MVP. But once she gets the Ag against the Timber Saw, against an Ursa, pretty damn good. They've maybe found the Puck here with a good telekinesis from Febby. They've got him. The Puck without buyback now, and MVP, they have to exploit this. They have to take advantage, like, right now of that kill.
I'm not sure whether they can, because look at mid lane. Juggernaut's already shoving it into the tier 2. In fact, might be a fight happening here. I don't think you want to fight this. He did get Spore Staff to the low ground, but I think he's dead.
QO just daggers and Blink strikes forward. Juggernaut. There's another Blink on Forever in 2 seconds time. That Basher, if he gets a lucky hit in, but the Blink Dagger back from the Juggernaut will get him back to safety. Crush available for Slaughter, holding onto it, but maybe held onto it a little bit too long. QO and 4M slice him down. And in the meantime, Velo on this Timbersaw, he's a barrier up in the front lines. They're looking for the tier 2 mid. Juggernaut even holding onto the Aegis of the Immortal. Timid and scared to fight. And in fact, they don't go tier 2 mid, they shove into bottom lane. Tier 3 is exposed with a catapult here and the Death Plater from QO. There's a glyph out from the Radiant, but they jump in to fight. They look for the Enchantress to kill her off. They've actually got a kill deep in behind enemy lines. And this is going to be what looks like a significant amount of structural damage here.
They have Rock back, and looks like they're gonna fight right now. Coil and Rock getting onto two. It looks like he went to right from the get-go kill. And Lodge almost feeling a start out of the base. Vale's gonna get focused out. Feb getting Omni slashed up. Kyo getting bounced off. He is dead. And now the chase continues. Fabulous X looking forward. He sees, oh, he actually did the waiting grip. And then Brave comes right back and kills the Pudge. They want to get the Earth up, but he's a very tanky piece. Vale's still in the middle of everything. And Juggernaut, he needs to run away. Juggernaut, in fact, in a lot of trouble. He blinks away, but still, 4 dead all of a sudden for EVOS. Keep in mind, they started that fight killing, well, at least hitting 2 big ultimates on the majority of MVP.
Yeah, it looked like it was just going to be a slam. They went in big, but MVP with the enrage on Ursa, the fact that QO was the one that got focused so heavily, you know, with his BKB once it ran out of that duration, just got destroyed in that team fight. But Velo and Forev, you know, having Lotus Sword, having enrage, and with the Basher that's able to shred through people like this, Juggernaut! Or Mantis Stalls, but the Aegis is gone. I'm not sure if he can live through this. They can blink away after the Aegis, so he will be fine. And MVP, they go for objectives, focus on the racks, face shift and blink from Betty, playing around, dancing with the Enchantress, and they've got this melee rack locked down. There's the Lotus Sword from Velo, and he's got a Timber Chain back across to the northern side of this ramp. So that might have put him in a dodgy position as the jump in. Juggernaut, oh man, telekinesis back, but face shift is there from Febby. Duba will be the sacrificial hero as the suicide comes out of Timbersaw. And Rubik. He's got Ghost Scepter and Phase Shift. Will he survive long enough though? Not with the crush.
Well, that was a turn of events real quickly. If you want to go back in time for maybe 3-4 minutes where after the puck died up top, oh god, the puck's going in right now. Becky, you'll Scepter up, and the Slaughter get here in time.
You need backup, you've got the crush, QO is available, and now you know the stun is down, the disable's not here, you might want to go back in as QO's PA. Puck is just toying right now with the Forever Ursa and gets the mega kill streak away from him.
Okay, that was unexpected. They kind of dove behind tier 2s and got a kill on Ursa, but yeah, good job. Anyway, so they lost Puck, remember up top when he got telekinesis lifted? And then the Slaughter like linked into a jungle to look for a fight. That was really, well, as we have said, hindsight 2020, like that was a terrible fight. That started the snowball onto the bottom side of the map. They lost one by one, and they lost eventually racks. I think if EVOS doesn't make that critical mistake, I think they would have still been a beautiful spot.
Hunting QO right now, the net closes in, but a good Dire Observer Ward gives the PA the vision she needs. They go into Juggernaut now, knowing the 2 heroes are missing. No Aegis here, of course, and there's a limited amount of mana on the Juggernaut, but they jump in onto the wall. Instead, the Golem is dropped still onto QO's head, but it's not a big one. They don't have to take the ones down either, and now they continue. Juggernaut not going to get clipped by the Timber Chain. MVP. They hunt for more. Oh, that's a good blink cancel actually there with the Blade Fury from Febby. Puck still going to be able to find a way to escape though. Oh, okay. Jaunts in.
Oh, he's in the trees.
He's used his blink. Oh dear. I mean, that's oh, wait, hang on. Sliding down to the high ground. Face Shift is there as well. Blink in 3 seconds time. Yule Scepter and the Orb. Can you jump to it? Yes. But Silent Stuff cannot do it. Febby is 1 step ahead.
Dude, Febby, he knows what this puck wants to do, and he's always there. Remember the kill up top? He was also there, you know, blocking off the jump path as well as being right there once he comes off phase with the lift. Febby may not be the best core player, at least a month ago, but definitely played one hell of a Rubik.
Godlike stuff from Febby. And with Puck dead again for 40 seconds, the second time that Puck has died without a buyback available. The second time that MVP have been able to push forward and try and exploit this as they take down final outer tower of the Radiant team. Yep. Even look towards high ground here. Again, they use the Timbersaw so well just to stand up on the front lines.
The big thing is Eden dropped his rock earlier for pretty much nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Now they don't have this base defense.
Upheaval. good against the Ursa.
Yeah.
Impetus into Enrage. Only smashes down to Febby. The Ghost Scepter down as well, but Febby's still going to drop to the crush. And the DPS from the Radiant team. QO on the backlines, trying to get as much done as he can. But a jump forward for more for Dubu. The Juggernaut blinding light back. Then just stunning the crush. There's something to get him. The final millisecond of that freaking TP as QO wants to go and fight with his BKB in. The Ghost Scepter from the Warlock keeps him alive. The Juggernaut wants to turn and fight, but he's got no targets. He can't choose one. He goes for QO instead, and the puck finally arrives back into the battle. They finish off the PA and MVP. They're losing one by one. Timbersaw chain away. Upheaval will slow him down a little bit. Hello. I'm not sure about this, mate. Orb is even there to cut off the retreat. Timbersaw, tanky. Very, very tanky. He's got a shotgun and loaded the orb and timber chain and all sorts of nonsense. Somehow, onto the high ground and back to safety.
Alright. I mean, Lotus Orb was such a big part of saving himself there, and also it's such a low cooldown that he used it multiple times in the fight. One thing I want to mention is that, remember I said this is the game you want to rank up Upheaval instead of Fatal Bond? Upheaval is especially good against Ursa because even if you enrage off of other spells, the slow gets constantly reapplied. So you saw him trying to enrage and walk away from Upheaval, he was still there, blasting away, not doing much.
It was a pretty cool interaction between Yule's Lotus Orb and Timber Chain as well. I don't think I've seen that before actually, where like Lotus is applied to him, the enemy uses him, and it uses the enemy, but he had Timber Chain in mid-air at the same time, so it just pops him straight out of the Yule Scepter. Pretty sick.
Alright, looks like we have Puck going for a Aghanim Scepter. Pretty good stuff. Against, I imagine mostly for the BKBs that are eventually going to be coming out.
Yeah, PA, BKB, I guess Ursa's going to buy one eventually as well, but speaking of, hello, Mr. Blade into Juggernaut, Manstell's down across as well, the only flash comes through, the Enrage will keep them alive at least for now, but the Dream Coil traps them in place. QO needs to battle into this one, his BKB is up and running, but the coil dropped on his head, and Chance is able to turn around, but the crit finally come through. QO finds a swipe in, but Ench with the full staff away finds a bit of breathing room, and QO has nothing left to give. I think he's just going to drop here. The blink back throws the clutch somehow out of the fight, but Juggernaut chases them down. This is MVP. Oh my god, Velo has no mana left. EVOS, have they actually done this? They've swung it so hard they forced the suicide out of Timbersaw. He gives up his own life, and Febby hides in the trees. The illusion orb gets him into the darkness of the fog. EVOS, my goodness.
I mean, this is a hell of a C-Dota game, right? Like, EVOS, by the way, to remind you guys, is down 1 Rex. And they're still essentially winning this game. And honestly, like, they wouldn't even be down that 1 Rex if they haven't made the previous mistake. And the fact that MVP capitalized on it. I feel like this is more or less like all is right in the world. EVOS should be winning this game, and they fought their way back. But yeah, I don't think I want to count MVP out just yet, because EVOS technically can make another mistake, and MVP could get another lane of racks out of that. But right now, not looking so good for MVP. Their base defense is nowhere near as good as EVOS, in my opinion. They do have Kardel Illuminate, they do have Chakram, but in terms of directly removing heroes off of your buildings, you don't have like a Blink Crush or a Puck Coil or a Rock to start the fight, you know?
Yeah, like the closest I have is like a Blink Abyssal, but that's not sort of temporary. That's a full commitment. If Ursa goes in and Abyssal someone, you are fighting around it. You're not just going to go in, do it, and then run away. Maybe with a second Abyssal coming up from the Phantom Assassin soon, just needs the recipe now. Maybe they can look to actually fight into it.
Yeah.
EVOS, they realise that Roshan likely to spawn in the next minute or so. Just want to take control. Again, it's been a real nice, refreshing view of this brand new team going up against MVP, but sure, they've had a few little errors here and there. They've been a little bit wonky from time to time, you know, the initial laning stage with the Enchantress, but they've got like a clear view of how to win against MVP's lineup, right? Take control of Roshan, make sure they don't get the Aegis, and time again, we always see EVOS fighting in this area, down around the Roche pit, towards the Dire Ancients, just forcing MVP away from the Roshan pit when it's about to be up, but also, on the flip side, fighting kind of around and near their base or near choke points when Roshan is down, utilizing all their big teamfight ultimates and the ability to defend high ground.
I also think their itemization has been excellent. I think you already mentioned it a couple of times about Juggernaut's skill build, or sorry, item build. To me, he's gotten essentially all of the correct items. That Diffusal Blade in particular has done so much work in terms of either slowing down targets, also, or debuffing himself from things like Mana Leak, Blinding Light, and yeah, he's able to set up a ton of kills. This is going to be the fight of the game, though. If MVP wins this fight and gets Roche, that could be a big one.
I most certainly could, and guess who is going to get found is going to be the Warlock, Abyssal Blade, into the Ghost Scepter, and Eden will drop. The chase continues as Puck, going to escape, will blink away, back to the haven of her own base. And Roshan, about 20 seconds, 15 seconds until respawn. MVP just going to stand in the pit and wait for it.
Or not, or Ferem might just blink out and then it spawns right after.
No, don't say that.
Does he have the patience?
He does. Or I've always had the patience. There we go.
Alright, here we go.
Roshan shot first.
Your Ferem had the long con, man. Went to secret, and then the patience. Back in the major, boys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That Invis Slardar. Oh yeah, that is an Invis Slardar. And that is a dead Rubik. Roshan's already gone though. Aegis is there and gifted the Phantom Assassin now. The Mana Leak onto the Puck. The Yule Step up into the air as Velo looks for the damage, but they shift. Where's the Puck gone? Blinks back down towards the south. Forev might look to chase this one, doesn't have the blink, but has the Abyssal Blade. The balance continues. QO on this back onto them. Jumps to some creeps, I think, at the back end, and they've actually finished off the Enchantress in the meantime. As Slardar has no mana left, the Puck goes back in, takes the Aegis away, but a spin stolen by Febby, looks to go in. Forev needs the blink, come on, cooldown, but getting chipped away at. Can't jump into the fight again. QO, he's found a target on the side. The Puck phase shifts away, and they need to switch again. This Puck is causing so many problems, and guess what? They've got the rock, they've got the Warlock ulti, they just need to throw it down onto two. The Fatal Ones are there as well. Juggernaut springs forward, and PA looks at the Puck for the Yule Scepter, has Phase Shift and the Blink Dagger, and this Puck is absolutely disgusting. There is no touching the Fairy Dragon of EVOS, as single-handedly almost outplays, outmaneuvers, and pisses off MVP as they chase her around the fight.
I mean, can you make the argument that MVP perhaps shouldn't be chasing the Puck, but at the same time he does offer a lot of damage and disable to the team, so it's kind of like a do or you don't. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but pick your poison. And they went for the Puck, thinking they could kill the Puck quickly, and that was the big mistake. Alright, Velo's trying to mix up the base defense, but like I mentioned earlier, they are not as good at base defending. And now look at Velo, suddenly, all four members of EVOS jumping on top of him, and he's dead.
It's
just multiple racks.
Definitely is like a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario, right?
Yeah, that's a great.
I got your back, don't worry. But yeah, the Puck offers so much magical damage. Oh god, they're gonna go in again. They found another. Down goes the Coastal. Enraged in the Earth there. It's not gonna be enough, but it's held in place. Lotus all there. It's looking bad. Anything back and down he goes. Buy back from the Earth. The Warrior will come into the fray again. But EVOS, even without their ultimate, even without mana, GG is called. MVP cap out in game number 1. Ho ho ho.
So the one thing I have to kind of mention is that Puck, we saw his spectacular performances, but we also got to remember that he had a weak laning stage where I think both of us saw him taking more daggers than he should.
Yep.
And I think that's something that he could improve upon. Also, the second thing I want to mention is that the Enchantress pick, I mean, we saw him not able to do that much early on, and I think we're both criticizing perhaps that he should have been giving Slaughter the safe lane, or giving him the safer lane by being in his lane.